Welcome to Vinnie Politan Investigates. How people react to tragedy and trauma is difficult to predict. We're all different. But under certain circumstances, the expectations of how we would react are pretty clear. For instance, when our child goes missing. Madeline Soto had just turned 13 when she was reported missing. And when officers responded, their body cameras were rolling. I've covered this case in depth on my weeknight show, Closing Arguments. And what you're about to see are some of the most important moments from that program, including those videos, as I investigate the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto. February 25th was Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party, celebrating a new phase in her life, becoming a teenager. There was a party. Her mom, Jenn Soto, could not make it, but her mother's live-in boyfriend, Stephan was there. A man who had been in Madeline's life for more than 5 years. In fact, Jenn referred to him as Madeline's stepfather, even though they were not married. The next day, Jenn and Stephan say Stephan gave Madeline a ride to school. They also say Madeline was embarrassed and did not want to get dropped off in front of the school. So she was dropped off near a church parking lot less than half a mile away. That's the last time they say anyone had contact with her. Investigators say the evidence paints a much different picture. They claim they have evidence of Stearns dumping Madeline's laptop and backpack in a dumpster and have images of Madeline dead inside of Stearns' car. Madeline never made it to school that day and was found 4 days later in some brush on the side of the road in St. Cloud, miles from their home in Kissimmee. Stearns was arrested after images of Madeline being sexually assaulted were allegedly found on his phone. And since then, he's also been charged with her murder. Jenn Soto has not been charged with anything or named as a suspect. Now, for the first time, we are seeing body camera video from the officers who first responded to the call for a missing girl. What does this video show? What does it reveal? We'll take a look along with our body language expert as we continue to investigate the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto. We have a big hour ahead here, and this is an important hour as we continue to investigate what happened to Madeline Soto. First thing you have to understand is that she was missing all day. She never made it to school. Never made it to school. The big question is, when exactly was she murdered? That question has not been answered yet. And we know a lot, but this story began for investigators as a missing child story, a missing child investigation. And it was the Orange County Sheriff's offices, those deputies, who responded to that call. And when they responded, their body cameras were on. And that's what we're going to see tonight. That's what we're going to take a look at tonight, is some of the video from those officers who responded to that call. And you have to understand, from their perspective, it's a missing 13-year-old, a teenager. And what exactly were the circumstances behind this? And the focus initially has to be, okay, what do we know? What can we find out? Where was she last seen? Where should we be looking? And all of that transpired in some of these videos, but the question is, where are you getting this information from? Well, you're getting it really from two sources as they respond. One of those sources is Stephan, the one who's now been charged with the murder, the one who's been charged for all those images that were allegedly found on his phone. And this is his opportunity to tell his first story to police, to law enforcement. And he tells it to the deputies. And it's really, when you look at him, he's got this crazy thing on his head. The arms are crossed the whole time. What exactly is going on with Stephan as officers respond? Because based upon where we are now in this case, is a much different place than we were when those first Orange County deputies responded and spoke to Stephan. Fascinating to look at that. Also, Jenn Soto is there, and she's actually speaking more than Stephan. What is she saying? What is her body language saying? That is something we're going to take a look at tonight. But first, let's play for you one of the videos. And this is the video of the first responding officer making the first in-person contact with Jenn Soto and Stephan Stearns. Let's take a look.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Do they speak English?
Yes, this is Mom.
This is Mom? Okay.
Hey there.
Hi there.
Hey there.
Hey there. What's going on?
So, my daughter was dropped off close to school this morning, but never made it. I went to pick her up from school.
I'm sorry, one second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Are we looking for another kid, or we have a kid?
Looking for another one.
Alright, if people are still on the scene, let's put that out. Any possible location, how long?
13.
I'm trying to get there right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
So she was supposed to be dropped off at school, didn't make it to school.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today,
Okay.
and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got a notice, an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either.
Okay.
So she never made it.
Okay. What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
February 27th, 2000?
22nd,
Oh, sorry. 22nd,
2011.
2011.
Just had her 13th birthday.
13.
1418 Charlie 45. What's the name of the single aid?
Madeline Soto, age 13. I'm trying to get a clothing description now. What was she last seen wearing?
26 County Charlie 45. People hit my call 931. It's the same call.
Green hoodie.
Green hoodie.
White Crocs.
White Crocs.
Either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Black shorts.
Yeah.
Black shorts? Okay. Black shorts. Alright. Do you know if she has like friends in the area?
She does, but she doesn't know where they live.
She doesn't know where they live. Okay.
I asked all of them.
Okay. Is this like, does she like have any places that you guys know that she'll usually be at? Any friend's house? Any places that like she likes to hang out?
Not typically, no.
No.
Not typically?
No.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if I get some.
Thank you.
No problem. And what school she goes to?
Hunters Creek Middle School.
Hunters Creek Middle? Alright, cool. 125.
Coming up next.
When you look at Stephan Stearns, he seems almost uninterested to be there. Like, here we are, it's late, we're sitting here, we're talking to police. His behavior is so strange to me. He doesn't seem alarmed by any of this.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates continues next, only on Court TV.
A-list actor Alec Baldwin is cast in the real-life role he never wanted.
I turn and come to them, the gun goes off.
Criminal defendant.
The Alec Baldwin manslaughter trial, coming this July, only on Court TV.
There are many emotions that could fill the air in a room of people trying to find a missing child. But one you might not expect to witness is calm, especially when the child's mother is in that room. Here's more of our investigation.
125. Do you have a picture of her? Can you airdrop it to me?
Yeah, I know. Let me see which picture. I don't know which picture.
Anything recently? Probably from a birthday party, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't there, so I have to look at what's up.
Sí, ella.
Go ahead. That's what I'm about to grab right now. Yeah. All right, cool, thank you.
Is this a good enough picture, or do you need a whole
Yeah,
body
that's
picture?
perfect.
Okay. What about eardrop? I don't know how to do it.
I got you. Okay, where's the photo? Right there.
It's on WhatsApp.
That's fine. Let me see.
I saved it to my photos, so you could go.
You saved it to your photos?
Yeah, we could just
Perfect.
go straight to the photos.
Okay, perfect. Give me a second. Okay. I'm gonna send it out right now to my other guys.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, so I'm watching this. Two things strike me right away. The first being the general kind of tone and atmosphere where Jenn Soto is, Stephan Stearns, and the rest of their family. There's an eerie calmness in there. Now, I don't know if things were hectic before or things get hectic after. I'm wondering when and maybe a lot of searching was done before this moment, because this is like, 8 o'clock at night. I don't know. I'm trying to understand that part of it, because I don't know what happened before this, and I don't know if there's something that happens after this. But in this moment, everyone's kind of sitting around very calm with a just turned 13-year-old girl missing. That really strikes me here. The other thing is Stephan Stearns. It's tough to look at him. Let me bring in my guests. Joining me in Orlando, Florida tonight, WFTV investigative reporter Shannon Butler. Also with us, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, author of the book Deceived, and all proceeds from the book, this Deceived, are going to Child Victims Center, which is being built. So that's important stuff. Mike King is with us. Let's go straight to Shannon Butler, WFTV investigative reporter. Shannon, your first initial reaction to this first video that we just watched?
Well, my first reaction was the same as yours. I couldn't believe how calm Jenn Soto was. We're both parents, Vinnie. We both have children. And if my daughter was missing, I don't know that that would be my reaction to that. But when you look at Stephan Stearns, he seems almost uninterested to be there. Like, here we are, it's late, we're sitting here, we're talking to police. His behavior is so strange to me. He doesn't seem alarmed by any of this. It's easy to say that now because we know so much more than we did the day that this video was taken, but their behavior, I think, raises a lot of questions for a lot of people.
Do we know, Shannon, if they had searched the area themselves earlier in the day, trying to figure out where Madeline could be? Because they know that she didn't go to school. So at this point, it's 12 hours it's about 12 hours that she's missing.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions about what that amount of time. Now, she called police as soon as that the little girl didn't make it to school. But if you remember, Stephan Stearns was really clear that he didn't do any of the searching. Remember, he said, I don't know what family was doing, but he didn't search at all. At this point, our understanding, there was no searching to see if she was nearby. I think they were trying to gather what happened. But no, they were not out there, going through the bushes and things like that we know of. We have not been told of any of that. And usually something like that would be hard to even for us not to hear. Some and said, hey, there's a huge search for a little girl this afternoon. You know, we don't see her. But Stephan Stearns was very clear. He didn't search for her.
And like, he's the one who knows, according to his story, right, exactly where he dropped her off, where he was. How on earth, if that child didn't make it to school, you're not there looking and searching and calling police and calling as many of your friends, if you have any friends, coworkers, everyone together. Let's find, because I know at some point there was a search, right? At some point there's a search.
Well, it wasn't like a community search. You know, we've seen with other cases how you get the community out and they start doing searches. Police do what's called a grid search in those kinds of areas. But this didn't happen in this case, which was really interesting. There was not huge search parties. So it was very clear from the beginning that those investigators already knew that there was no reason to look for her, at least alive, in that general vicinity. Remember, they had video very early in this case, and they had already believed that Madeline Soto was dead. At that point, immediately it turned into, we hope that someone gives us a tip so we can find where Madeline Soto might be. And in the end, that's exactly what happened. But this was not a case where we had huge search parties.
Still to come.
The thing that really jumped out at me was that we talk about crime scene staging, but this is more story staging, because she stepped right up with a story that seemed like she'd rehearsed a little bit. It may have even been in cue with what she was directed to say. But he stands back kind of watching, and boy, you can tell how unhappy he is about being there.
Hey there.
Hey there. What's going on?
So my daughter was dropped off close to school this morning, but never made it. I went to drop her to school.
I'm sorry, one second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Are we looking for another kid, or we have a kid?
Looking for another one.
Good.
Alright, so people are still on the scene. Let's put that out. Any hospital location? How long?
13.
I'm trying to get there right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
So she was supposed to be dropped off at school, didn't make it to school.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today, and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got a notice, an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either.
Okay.
So she never made it.
It's like around where these communities were.
Okay.
And it's just like in this stretch, like we could see the overpass down there.
Where's the school?
Just on the other side of the overpass.
So somewhere around here.
So yeah, somewhere, maybe not this one, but the next one possibly is right in this stretch. And we just came down and we drove about halfway down. She was like, that's good right here.
And was the last time you seen her? Do you know around what time?
Around 8:30, 8:40 when we dropped her off.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Yeah.
Weight?
110 pounds.
110, 100.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde? Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Does she have any markings on her, like any scars or anything like that?
There's a distinctive beauty mark on her face here.
On her face?
On the face, like below the nose or near the nose?
Yeah, like right in that area there. It's very distinctive. You'd know it if you saw it. Big.
Any other scars or anything like that?
Scars?
No.
Tattoo?
No.
You'd be surprised.
We have a very strong bond. But, you know, I'm the person she goes to when her mom gets in a fight with her and she needs someone to comfort her. And like, I'm that person for her, you know. This girl knows nothing but love here in this house.
Everyone has the right to remain silent, but when you report your own child missing, that's the last thing you're going to do. So when you do tell your story, The question is, does it make sense? We have Mike King with us now. Mike, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. We're looking at this. We looked at this first video, the initial contact in person that's made by deputies. Interested in your initial reaction here, right? This is at this point, purportedly a missing child case. Your thoughts about Jenn Soto, Steph Stearns, and this initial contact that is made?
You know, Vinny, I felt like I was watching a rerun of the missing boys in California and the mom and the dad, or at least the foster parents as they got up. The thing that really jumped out at me was that we talk about crime scene staging, but this is more story staging, because she stepped right up with a story that seemed like she'd rehearsed a little bit. It may have even been in cue with what she was directed to say. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if there's some coercive relationship going on between the two as this thing unfolds. But he stands back kind of watching, and boy, you can tell how unhappy he is about being there. But she starts right off with a story that she's already prepared. We dropped her off at school. It was a little bit early. We watched her walk away. And all the other staging that we heard Stern going through with, hey, I'm a good guy. I took her to McDonald's. She didn't want it. I said goodbye. I love you. Oh, by the way, she said, I love you too, as she gets out. All of that verbal staging really jumped out at me, Vinny.
It's hard to judge people you don't know. If you haven't heard them speak or witnessed their body language before, it can be a real challenge to get a true feel for who they are and whether or not they're telling the truth. The problem for Stephan Stearns is that the story he told seems pretty easy to prove false. As a result, Stephan Stearns will be judged by 12 people he doesn't know inside a courtroom at his trials. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks for joining the investigation, and I'll see you weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Welcome to Vinnie Politan Investigates. When investigators first respond to the scene, they collect facts and statements from witnesses. In the case of a missing child, they want to speak with the parent and the last person to see that child. Once they tell their story, it's time to figure out if it makes sense. And that's what happened when 13-year-old Madeline Soto was reported missing. I've covered this case in depth on my weeknight show, Closing Arguments, and what you're about to see are some of the most important moments from that program as I investigate the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto.
Does she have a phone number or phone?
She does, but she left it at home today. I have it.
You have it?
And I've already gone through her messages.
Okay. How about, does she have like Apple Watch?
She's got a device. The only device she's got on her right now is her school laptop.
Her school laptop? Is that trackable?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
A lot of moving parts in this video, and this is, again, the first contact in person. Orange County deputies responding to the call for a missing child. Let's take a look now. We've got a second video to look at from a second deputy. Again, here's Jenn Soto, Stephan Stearns telling the stories.
Mom right here. By any chance, does she have a phone number or phone?
She does, but she left it at home today. I have it.
You have it?
And I've already gone through her messages.
Okay. How about, does she have like Apple Watch?
She's got a device. The only device she's got on her right now is her school laptop.
Her school laptop? Is that trackable?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
She got dropped off. She was like, so she's embarrassed by his car. So she wanted me dropped off at school. She wanted me dropped off like half a block away so she can walk.
It's an image thing. She's in the face.
But he dropped her off half a block away and drove away.
Okay. Did she ever go to school though?
No, we called school.
She was walking in that direction. She was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones before she got her walking on.
Yeah.
But she was just kind of, shambling over in that direction. It looked the same as any other morning.
Okay.
What was the last thing you asked?
If she went to school, I think that's what it was.
So I got confirmation from the school that she never made it. They sent me an email saying she didn't make it. But I also spoke to her or emailed one of her teachers directly, and he looked at all her attendance for all her periods and told me she'd make it at all today.
Okay.
Say it again? No, she's supposed to have a book bag. She was supposed to go to school, but didn't go to school today. Yeah, it said negative on that hit at the park. So.
Assuming local reference is 21 to a vehicle.
I think black shorts.
An unknown male, gray hoodie, black pants, black ski mask, black gloves. No further information. 1064, 1946.
And when was the last time you seen her? Do you know around what time?
Around 8:30, 8:40 when we dropped her off.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Weight?
110 pounds.
About 110, 112.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Does she have any markings on her, like any scars or anything like that?
There's a distinctive beauty mark on her face here.
On her face?
On the face, like below the nose or near the nose?
Yeah, like right in that area there. It's very distinctive. You'd know it if you saw it. Big.
Any other scars or anything like that? We should know.
Scars?
No.
Tattoo?
Tattoos? No.
You'd be surprised. Did you put out the description?
I put the top part out. I didn't get the rest of that stuff yet, so I didn't put it out.
County 34 female.
Can I just see that phone?
Black shorts, white poncho top, approximately 5'1", blonde, dirty blonde hair, blue eyes.
Hello? Yes? Hi, Principal. I'm okay. How are you?
That's what I said.
No, currently the police officer's here right now.
Stuck in the
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find her
paperwork.
Coming up next.
He doesn't turn to look and say, has somebody found her? I mean, he's got this resolute look on his face, and it's like whatever's going on isn't going to change a thing.
Wednesday.
The ultimate betrayals.
Back-to-back episodes of Accomplice to Murder.
Spell was broken when the handcuffs went click.
Friends and family turning on each other.
What he was willing to do for $1 million.
But just who is the puppet?
She was a master manipulator.
And who's pulling the strings?
An Accomplice to Murder marathon. Starting Wednesday, noon, 11 Central.
Only on Court TV. If a child has been missing for 12 hours without a phone, you would expect some desperation and extreme anxiousness from their loved ones. But in the case of Madeline Soto, that wasn't the case. Here's more of our investigation.
Does she have any markings on her, like any scars or anything like that?
There's a distinctive beauty mark on her face here.
On her face?
On the face, like below the nose or near the nose?
Yeah, like right in that area there. It's very distinctive. You'd know it if you saw it.
Any other scars or anything like that? We should know.
Scars?
No.
Tattoo?
No.
You'd be surprised.
Still with us, WFTV investigative reporter Shannon Butler and retired police commander Mike King. Mike, the laughter, could we chalk, is it nervous laughter or is this like, did it make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, it made me feel uncomfortable, Vinny, but you're absolutely right. We have to be able to understand what's normal for them. But I'll tell you something that really stood out to me that hasn't jumped out before, but it really bugs me, Vinny, and that is that as soon as she picks up that phone and says, yes, principal, he doesn't turn to look and say, has somebody found her? I mean, he's got this resolute look on his face, and it's like whatever's going on isn't going to change a thing.
Shannon, I know you've also taken a look at a new discovery list, some new documents. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the discovery list is basically a list of things that we know now what investigators used in their investigation or anything that they found. And there is dozens and dozens of items. But one of the things that we thought was interesting when we went through some of this over the last couple of days is that those Orange County detectives did use trackers on the vehicles of Jenn Soto and Stephan Stearns in those days while they were still looking for Madeline Soto. We did know that there was some video had picked up along that route between their home and where Madeline's body was found. We now know there were, the 7-Eleven, we knew that they had video there. And then I think I've told you guys before, there was video at kind of an industrial type park on the way. Our understanding is that's video where they see him move one location to another from the front seat into the trunk. So we know that in this case, they do have more video evidence that we saw from the apartment complex with the backpack and things like that. It does appear that investigators had quite a bit of evidence very early on in this investigation. It was, of course, that tip from that passerby that helped them locate Madeline's body, but they were pretty well ahead of the game very early on in this investigation.
And Mike King, something else we're looking at, if you look at Stephan Stearns right here on his arm, he's got a Fitbit. That could be a source of information as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Vinny. And the fact that they really have a pretty good cellular system set up through that part of Florida. They're not only are pretty good cell towers and they're in good proximity with a pretty good direction, but they've got microwave and they've got small cell installations. So I think when they're starting to look at the forensics in this particular case, including the bird dog information that they put on the vehicles to track him, I think they're going to really put together a nice breadcrumb trail.
Shannon, what did you think of the dynamic? I know you guys interviewed them together, and everyone looked at that and was, quite striking. How about in this video? Do you see any sort of different dynamic between the two, or is it consistent with when WFTV, you guys did the interview with Madeline Soto and Stephan Stearns?
Yeah, it appears to be pretty... It looks the same. It's easy for me to say that now because of how much we know about that couple now. But he was very stoic, kind of like he is here. And I don't know, he almost seems kind of put out by what's going on here. Even in that investigation or that interview that we did with him, he was just so matter of fact, like, I dropped her off. She was rifling through her backpack, things like that, which we know not to be true because the backpack was found in the dumpster. But her behavior also the same. She's, kind of quiet and reserved, even in our interview and even here. But it felt to me then, and it feels to me now, that I'm not sure she's sure about the story of which she gave. For whatever reason that may be, she doesn't seem as solid in that information. I mean, she doesn't even know what color shorts Madeline Soto's wearing. They were blue, not black. So that's pretty consistent with what we saw when we talked to them. His behavior, his arms crossed and things like that was just how he was when we saw him.
Mike King, understanding the dynamic of the relationship, I think is going to be crucial for the trial or trials of Stephan Stearns. What role does Jenn Soto play? Cooperating witness? Is she a potential co-conspirator? Does she face any charges for any of her conduct before, during, or after the fact? To me, that is still the big unknown question in all of this.
Yeah, I agree, Vinny, and I think that their law enforcement's in a perfect position to work with her, and it doesn't seem like she's lawyered up or been resistant to that. And with him now sitting in jail, she's not facing any of that pressure that she might if they were still in the same house together. So I think it's really incumbent on law enforcement as they continue to massage this thing and try to get more information to really see if they can separate. There may be immunity that's offered. Who knows? There may be a little bit of pressure put on her for some things like just the responsibility to protect that child, and having her sleep with this guy that she's living with isn't protecting that child. And then I guess the final thing that I would say is it's too bad in hindsight that law enforcement didn't split them up right then, because those two were just kind of acting hinky. But I love the fact that we have an expert who has dealt with them and interviewed them for the media that can say, well, the behavior's kind of consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Still to come.
So what he's saying is that every other time she stumbles through her backpack, and he kind of acts like she was walking, you know, like that imitates her. So I found that very odd.
When it's time to evaluate the credibility of a statement or a story, corroborating evidence is important, but so is word choice and body language.
Okay. Hi there.
Hey there.
Hey there. What's going on?
So my daughter was dropped off close to school this morning, but never made it. I went to pick her up from school.
So she was supposed to be dropped off at school, didn't make it to school.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today, and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either. So she never made it.
Want to take a deeper dive now into this new body cam video of Jenn Soto and Stephan Stearns when they first report Madeline missing. Bringing a special guest, body language and statement analyst expert Bruce Jacobs. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Great to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to put on a clip and let's watch it together. Then afterwards, you tell me what you're picking up from Stephan Stearns and Jenn Soto. Let's take a look at the first one where they give some basic info.
What's her name?
Madeline. M-A-D-E-L-I-N-E.
M-A-D-E-L-I-N-E. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
S-O-T-O?
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
February 27, 2000?
22nd.
Oh, sorry, 22nd.
2011.
2011.
Just had her 13th birthday.
What was she last seen wearing?
Green hoodie.
Green hoodie.
White Crocs.
White Crocs.
Either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Black shorts?
Yeah.
Black shorts?
All right, Bruce, what are you picking up here? Is they're just giving some of the basic information?
Yeah. So let's go back to when they first came in, the officer first came in. What's the first thing that Stephan did? He takes a big swig of water. Okay, that's a limbic brain response. Most of the ancient lie detector tests are based on your saliva, your dry mouth. So then he reaches back and he puts the water bottle behind him, and he comes up and he starts to put his hands in his pockets. But then he changes his mind and he crosses his arms. We call that torso blocking. Okay, so when people are feeling threatened, they'll torso block. Your limbic brain, which is your fight, flight, or freeze brain, has a vested interest in protecting these organs. So as soon as he does that, now it doesn't always mean it's a closed stance. It depends on the circumstances and the context of when it's happening. But then he uncrosses his hand and he touches his forehead. Again, it's a limbic brain response. It's a pacifier. So he wants to run or fight, but he can't. So he's got to calm himself down. So then mom answers the phone and hands it to him. So he takes his hand and he takes his thumb and puts his thumb in his pocket. So most people, when they put their hands in their pocket, they either put the whole hand in, right, or they'll leave the thumb out. So hiding your thumbs is a great sign of lack of confidence. So he talks on the phone a little bit, hands the phone back to her, and he immediately goes back into the closed stance and again touches his head, touches his forehead. So these are limbic brain responses, that it's a fight, flight, or freeze response. So those are great clues. I have to agree with the other people in the beginning that there's almost an eerie calm here. So I look at mom's bobbing back and forth. She's got the exaggerated sway back and forth, but she's pretty much repeating what she's been told. So I didn't see too much on her. There was some emotion on her face. She had some forehead, some tension in the forehead as she was talking also.
Okay, I've got a second clip. In this one, they get into more of the details of the actual story. Let's watch that one.
She got dropped off. She was like, so she couldn't barely just find his car. So she wanted me dropped off at school. She wanted me dropped off like half a block away so she can walk.
It's an image thing. She's in the face.
But he dropped her off half a block away and drove away.
Did she ever go to school though?
No, we called school.
She was walking in that direction. She was rifling through her backpack, just looking for something. I thought maybe she was just looking for headphones before she got her walking on.
Yeah.
But she was just kind of, shambling over in that direction. It looked the same as any other morning.
Bruce, are you picking up anything in just the dynamic between the two?
Yeah, so she's explaining to the officer what's going on, and he steps over her from behind. Now, he doesn't have his hands crossed here because she's in front of him. It's like standing in front of a podium, right? She's blocking for him. So he adds that in there, like she's going through a phase. So he's kind of minimizing it. He doesn't use the word just to minimize it, but he goes, she's going through a phase. And he talks about dropping her off about a half a mile away. Well, that's a long ways, but okay, maybe he did. Obviously he didn't know. So he says, and then he starts talking about what happened. And one time he says, he's talking about how she was rifling through her backpack and then she stammers away. I think that's the word he used. And then he goes, So he uses the word or the phrase for the very first time in all the body cam clips. So has two meanings, unless it's his baseline, has two meanings. One of them is he's trying to monopolize the conversation, and the other one he doesn't know a whole lot about it. So he's trying to convince us, that she was stumbling through her backpack, and then he adds something at the end, it's unnecessary language. It looked the same as any other time. So what he's saying is that every other time she stumbles through her backpack, and he kind of acts like she was walking, like that imitates her. So I found that very odd, that he was trying to convince us because he uses the phrase, and he says, just like every other time. So every other time she is going through her backpack looking for her headphones. Yeah. Lots of deception there.
Final one, and this time, they talk about the last time they saw her, but there's also a moment where I think people laugh a little bit. Let's take a look at that.
And when was the last time you seen her? Do you know around what time?
Around 8:30, 8:40 when we dropped her off.
How tall is she?
5'1".
Yeah. Weight?
110 pounds.
About 110, 112.
Hair color?
Blonde.
Blonde, like a dirty blonde.
Like a dirty blonde?
Yeah.
Okay. Eye color?
Blue.
Does she have any markings on her, like any scars or anything like that?
She has a distinctive beauty mark on her face here.
On her face?
On the face, like below the nose or near the nose?
Yeah, like right in that area there. It's very distinctive. You'd know it if you saw it. Big.
Any other scars or anything like that? Which you know?
Scars? No.
Tattoos?
No.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, let's begin with the laughter in this moment. Was it nervous laughter? What are you getting from that?
So I thought that was very odd. I wouldn't be laughing if my daughter was missing. One of the things that one of the clues of communication, channels of communication, is the voice. So it's the pitch, the tone, the volume, the inflection, and the flow. And sometimes his volume goes way down. So when he's describing certain things about her, his volume comes up to his level. But then when he's talking about, especially when he says dirty blonde, his mouth opens up. It's the only time it happened in the whole body cam. He goes dirty blonde and his mouth opens up. I don't know why that happened, but we look for consistencies and inconsistencies. So then about the tattoos, yeah, everybody started laughing. I thought that was very odd. I do agree that when the principal called, there was no response to him.
Sometimes a story just doesn't add up. Stephan Stearns has clearly entered that zone. His story runs contrary to much of the other video evidence in the case. But what about Jenn Soto? The question there is, was she telling a story or merely repeating a story Stephan Stearns told her? That's a question law enforcement needs to figure out. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks for joining the investigation, and I'll see you weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Argument.